channel after news channel after news channel. Ever wonder why they report the same news? This is Wake Up America.
Brought to you by Citizen Stringer.
The media has become absolute lunacy. What makes us different? We just tell the truth. Daily headlines, politics, social issues, focusing on headlines that the mainstream media ignores. Conservative to the core and honest, sometimes to a fault. Unapologetically American. Welcome to Wake Up America with your host, Stephen Oatley.
All right. Welcome to the show. Today is, what is it? April 6th, 5:03 p.m. It's going to be one of those days. I already got the feeling. It is one of those days. We have a hell of a show for you. It's going to be an action-packed show, okay? At 5:30, we're going to have BX Bullet joining the show. Talk about her quest to rid Twitch gaming platform from pedophiles. And you may be curious, why are we talking about that even? Well, with everything that's going on with Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, or Jackson Brown, whatever it is, I keep forgetting. I think it's pertinent, and especially with Durbin's comments yesterday, I think it's pertinent to understand that it doesn't seem that the sympathy towards child pornography is just limited to U.S. Congress, because it seems like it's limited to, well, the people on the left, okay? Because I still have no understanding of why that's even happening, but you know what? It doesn't really make sense, and we'll keep talking about it. For anyone that doesn't know, this show is sponsored by Spartan Armor Systems. I got to put the little thing up there. But Spartan Armor Systems is a Tucson, Arizona-based body armor manufacturer. Great company, huge supporters of our show and everything we do here at Citizen Stringer. You can visit them at SpartanArmorSystems.com. You can pick up some sick hats like I have up on the shelf there. They also have body armor up to level 4 ceramic, I believe is what they have now. A bunch of tactical carriers, concealed carriers. They got the Ghost shirt, which I really want one of those. It's pretty cool. It's a shirt that has a t-shirt, basically, an undershirt that has body armor built right in. It's pretty awesome, actually. So check them out, SpartanArmorSystems.com. And if you use code YEET, that is YEET, you get 5% off your order. That's a hell of a deal. You're not going to find that deal anywhere else. Go check them out now. SpartanArmorSystems.com. All right, so I guess the very first story that we have to just dive right into is this. Well, actually, there's breaking news. Newsflash, blah, blah, blah. Breaking news right now. Texas Governor Abbott has decided that because the federal government doesn't want to stop the immigration crisis at his border, he's going to do even more. Obviously, about a year ago, he instituted Operation Lone Star, deploying up to 10,000 Texas National Guardsmen to the border and to try to curb this massive influx of illegal migrants crossing into the United States. It didn't really work. We still have roughly 200,000 or so, give or take a few. What's the population of Rhode Island? I think that's what comes across the border in Texas every month. It's insane. And now with Title 42 being thrown out the window in May, they're estimating that those numbers may go up. Instead of being 2,000 or so, during a typical day, those numbers may go up to, 20,000 or so, 15 to 20,000 crossing per day. They're estimating that over a 5-week period, 500,000 people may cross that border. That's 100,000 people a week crossing into the United States. That's what they're preparing for. So Governor Abbott today, he released some new plans and what he was going to do to combat this effective immediately. He's going to start essentially a boat flotilla all over the Rio Grande and high traffic areas, where he's just going to essentially block the coastline or the riverbed with boats and basically tell people you're effed. You're not crossing over here. Also, he's going to put up some barbed wire in a different area. He's talking about putting containers down. They did use containers previously, but here's something that's interesting, because we've been hearing these reports of buses picking up migrants and then the Border Patrol bringing those buses to random small towns in Texas and dropping them off full of migrants and saying, you're free, go. It's crazy that that's even happening. But so what Texas is planning on doing is, if the Democrats in Washington and Washington in itself doesn't want to do anything about the border crisis in Texas, Governor Abbott's decided that he's going to ship them up here towards us in D.C. So Governor Abbott made an announcement maybe an hour ago that he was going to charter buses under his emergency authorization acts and all that stuff. He's going to charter buses, fill them with migrants, and send them up to D.C. Now, I'm not quite sure if this is just talk, if this is real, but it would be pretty legendary if it was true, and it would cause a huge rash of issues. What would the federal government do? Would they try to step in and say, no, you can't do this? I mean, is this where Texas kind of differentiates themselves from every other state, where Texas is like, hold my beer, I'm going to, this whole thing is outrageous. The fact that we have a border crisis here in the United States, the fact that, I mean, here's the thing. Everyone wants to talk about Ukraine and how, it's so awful, everything that's happening there. There's a video, New York Times just put out an article today of Ukrainian troops caught on video shooting and killing Russians that were already injured, executing them. But then again, those are the people that we are supposedly supposed to support. It doesn't make any sense. I could give two Fs about Russia or Ukraine right now. We have a crisis at our border. Everyone can talk about the hundreds and hundreds of civilians that are dying as a result, let alone the thousands of military, age males that are dying over there in Ukraine and Russia. On both sides, but that's fine. But I would rather talk about the 14,000 people that died from heroin overdoses in the United States, where the majority of that heroin crossed the southern border. That's more important to me. I would rather talk about the innocent civilians who were killed by a drunk driver who's not allowed to be here, or people that are murdered by people that are not allowed to be here, or the rising gun crimes committed by people that aren't allowed to be here. Those things seem to be more important to me, and maybe it's just because I just have common sense and nobody else does anymore. I'm not quite sure what the rationale behind that is, but they're more important to me than hearing about all the stuff in Russia. And apparently now, maybe all that stuff, Fox News has been going pretty heavy on what's going on with the border. You may have heard, today Peter Doocy questioned Jen Psaki on a couple of things. Well, one of which he questioned her was on these phones that these migrants were given when they were released by Border Patrol. Now, you may say, whoa, Steve, where have we heard those phones before? Oh, that's right. I reported that months and months and months ago. Nobody cared. Nobody cares about anything unless it becomes big on Fox News. Anyway, we reported about these phones being used. A company called Nexus, who happens to be suing me for $5.5 million right now for my coverage of all this stuff that this company is involved with. A company called Nexus Services out of Staunton, Virginia, or Augusta, Virginia, Verona, Virginia is where they're from, was involved in these BLM protests and stuff, which I found very curious, because why is a company that deals with immigration bonding involved in protests? And without getting into all that stuff, it's crazy. But I started looking into this company more, Nexus Services out of Verona. Why people have been talking about these guys forever. New Yorker did a big piece, a bunch of people. This guy used to go on Fox News, on Tucker Carlson's show. He's been on all these shows talking about this. Remember the bonehead that sued the Trump administration on behalf of the illegal caravan that was crossing in 2018 or 19 or something like that, 2016, 17. I don't even remember. But remember that bonehead that went on Tucker Carlson and got embarrassed because he was trying to say that people that haven't crossed into the United States, that have never been in the United States, have rights here in the United States because they intend on coming here, not because they are here. It was the stupidest legal argument. Obviously, it was quickly thrown out, but he did it for publicity and press, allegedly. Well, actually, it's not allegedly. That's why he filed this lawsuit apparently, and then he went on talk shows, and Mike Donovan is suing me for $2.5 million. I like to be very clear with everyone, because he said my coverage of him getting embarrassed on Tucker Carlson is the reason why he's not allowed on Tucker Carlson anymore. Literally, Tucker Carlson is named in my suit, not named as a defendant, but named that I ruined the reputation with him in media. Even though there's been 47 other articles written about this shady ass company. And there's been even more since the lawsuit began, because one of them, who somehow is one of the executives with Nexus Services, Richard Moore, who is been federally indicted as of, I think, December by a grand jury on 10 counts of employment tax fraud or some shit like that. So he's currently, and he's got a pending perjury charge for lying to something about something. And, you know where he is? Because he's not in jail, because he was able to post a bond, even though they don't pay their bills. He was able to post a bond. And you know where he was? You may have paid attention to this. Maybe you didn't. You know how Zachary Cruz, the Parkland shooter, is standing trial right now? Guess who's a witness in that case? Guess who was in the courtroom yesterday? Which is weird because he wasn't allowed to leave the state unless he had prior permission. But apparently he had permission. Yeah, Richard Moore, CEO of Nexus Services, or CFO of Nexus Services, the one that's indicted on 10 federal charges right now, is a witness in Zachary Cruz's murder trial for the Parkland shooting. Doesn't that, like, this is all very confusing. Anyway, back to the phones. So we were reporting on Nexus Services and their immigration stuff. You can find the articles on citizenstringer.com. We reported on this way back in August of last year, right? Almost a year ago. We reported on the fact that they used to put ankle monitors on the people they bond out. So this is how the immigration system bonds people out. This is how it works. You come across the border, you get captured by Border Patrol. They either release you, before they used to release you with an immigration bond, and that bond, the amount of that bond was determined on whatever, their qualifications. So they do this little questionnaire, and depending on how you score it, that determined your level of bond. Now, it's not like going to jail, committing a crime, stealing a pack of gum, and getting a $10,000 bond, because in that point you could put up $1,000 and boom, you can get out, and the rest is collateralized. You can't do that with an immigration bond because 60% of all people who are out on immigration bonds never return to court. So what they do in the Border Patrol does this. Fox News talked about it, where they use ankle monitors, GPS positioning. They use ankle monitors to track it. That's been found unconstitutional in a lot of demographics, although the Border Patrol, when they put ankle monitors on them, they don't charge them for the ankle monitors. Nexus Services, the company out of Verona, Virginia, that I've covered numerous times, you could find it on citizenstringer.com, they charge what's called a rental or a lease fee or something for their clients. So essentially what they do is a family member calls them and says, hey, my uncle was just across the border. He's arrested. He's got a $10,000 immigration bond. Nexus Services says, okay, we will take care of it. Give us a name and date of birth and all that crap. They get all the information. They send someone to go pick up that person. They go and take them to lunch, and then they hand them this 15 to 20 page document, which they don't know what they're signing. It used to be in English. They got sued by a bunch of different states, so now they actually have to have it in Spanish and all that. But it says you're not paying on your bond. You're not paying back that $10,000 that they put up for you when you're paying this monthly fee of $400+ that they have for your ankle monitor. No, what you're doing is you're paying for the ankle monitor and your bond keeps going. So essentially you always have that ankle monitor on until you pay extra to alleviate the bond requirements, which it's entrapment. That's why so many people, it's legal by the way, but that's why so many news outlets have covered this company, but nobody cares. And everyone holds Project Veritas on a really high level, right? Project Veritas passed on this story. They passed on it. Their investigator called me. I told them everything I had, and they said, nah, we're not interested. You already covered it. You're a news outlet. We're not going to cover it. So it's insane. It absolutely is insane that this is going on. And now that Fox News is covering it, it's big news. We've been reporting on this for months. We knew about the phones. These same company that was giving these phones because they had to stop using the GPS units because they got sued. They put out a press release last year during COVID saying that one person died, right? One of their people that had an ankle monitor died. And they put out this big and passionate press release saying that they've made an ultimate decision because that person, they had to go recover that ankle monitor so the family couldn't take possession of their family member, blah, blah, blah. But really it was because the state of Florida or some state, literally in California did it too, where they barred and fined this company from using ankle monitors because what they found is what they're doing is super illegal. And again, because I'm going to email this, and I hope that every single one of you that is on Twitter, that watches this show on YouTube or Facebook, I want you to share this video out and tag Fox News, tag CNN, they won't do it. Tag all the media outlets, find the individual people on Fox News and tag it. Because here's the thing, the company that is behind these phones One of the companies behind these phones is under current investigation by 7 attorney generals. We've already covered that. We covered it ad nauseum. This same company that issues these phones to migrants that are seeking asylum bonds and all that stuff, this same company spent $30,000 to surveil a police department in the United States. This same company is behind BLM protests, and they are going after the Augusta County Sheriff. Everybody can look it up. The same company has million-dollar lawsuits by the surety bonding companies for not paying the surety bonds. Look up RLI versus Nexus. They have default judgments. They're almost in receivership. There's all sorts of crazy stuff going on, but that's okay. I'll do all your work for you, mainstream media. Like, my gosh, is that what it's going to take? Is I report a story and then 4 months later they report it and they're like, we just broke the news. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. It's so sad. It's so sad. And yes, anyone that's watching, I'm willing to go on Fox. I'm willing to go on CNN. I'm willing to go anywhere to talk about this because I've been trying to bring the public's attention to this company and what they do. And nobody wanted anything to do with it. Now everyone's paying attention to these phones. Here's a big thing. The same company that was giving out phones to illegal migrants, right, when they bonded them and said they had to track, their app is on the App Store. Look at the data that they collect. Everything, keystrokes, photos. They have access to your photos. Anything you access on their phones, they have access to all that. Any credit card information you put in, they have access to all that. It's a full-on data share. You can look at their app. Libre by Nexus. Look at their app. Everybody should be doing this right now. Everybody should be tagging every single person in media. Small interviews, big interviews. I'll do them all because I've been trying so hard to get this company to have to face the music for what they've been doing, and nobody cares. It wasn't a big enough story. Or because they have Congress, they're big Democrat donors too. Isn't that weird? But whatever. It's probably my lawyer saying shut up. It's not. But yeah, man, it's absolutely crazy. And I saw it, and I saw that Fox News and Bill Melugin and everybody was covering it. We've been covering this for so long. So when I heard, today, who was it? Peter Doocy is asking Jen Psaki about it. And they're like, she's like, yeah, we use 3 different methods to track them. We use GPS positioning. We use these cell phones. And then we use, the calls where they can just call in, and we use voice analysis. This is all the same stuff that I reported on months and months ago. Months and months ago. Wait, could we have averted the border crisis if people actually listened? Oh my goodness. It's very, very frustrating to me. If you can't tell, I'm a little frustrated. And that's not all. Peter Doocy also questioned Jen Psaki on Hunter Biden's, on whether or not Joe Biden, then who was a private citizen, whether or not he had any sort of if he was going to share, if he was an office mate with Hunter Biden. Because remember, President Biden has said for a long time that he knew nothing about what was going on with Hunter Biden. Now we've learned that that is in fact not true. By all accounts, it's definitely 100% false. But it doesn't matter because, well, people are still going to pretend like it is. We know. And there's all this pay for play and stuff. Hunter Biden's Chinese business counterparts requested a letter from Joe Biden. Fox News reported this, and Jen Psaki's like, well, we don't know whether this is real. We can't talk about it. We can't talk about what he did as a private citizen. Apparently, Joe Biden wrote a letter for one of Hunter Biden's business associates in 2017 to get the business associate's child into Brown University. like they literally made stuff up about Donald Trump. They are oblivious. I watched the oil hearing today. Everyone on Citizen Stringer watched that oil hearing. The disconnect between Democrats and common sense, or regular everyday Americans, is insane. It is absolutely insane. They spent a 2-hour hearing grilling people, these oil executives, grilling them about why they're price gouging. And the oil executives are like, we don't own those gas stations, right? That's not what we do. We don't own those gas stations. Those prices are set by everybody else. And then they're like, well, what do you pay in dividends in 2021? And they're like, well, we paid $14 billion out in dividends, but we lost $21 billion the year before. They didn't want to hear that. They kept shutting everybody up when they were talking about how much money they lost with COVID. And then they don't understand what dividends are either, which I don't believe, because all of these politicians, the second something happens in Washington, they're trading stocks. The second it happens, they're trading stocks all the time. So for them to not pretend like they don't understand what dividends are is outrageous. Dividends are literally what some retirees are living off of. That is their pension. Their pension is invested, 401ks and all that are invested in all these funds, and some of these funds invest in these, and then they get the dividends. The disconnect is crazy, and they're trying to say that it's Donald Trump's fault. Jen Psaki put out this little thing today on her Twitter page where she's like, it's time for me to give an update on the oil crisis and blah, blah, blah. And the oil companies are not using the 9,000 available land leases, pretending that she's not talking about the fact that, the Department of Interior is still fully remote. They're fully remote. So all the permits that these oil manufacturers require by government oversight, all these permits that they require from the Department of Interior are super backlogged. Like, it doesn't make any sense, because Democrats and the people that listen to this propaganda, they're just like, well, we're not going to be honest with you. We're not going to tell you the truth. That stuff doesn't matter anymore. And that's exactly what Jen Psaki did. She didn't say, she's like, they have 9,000 available land leases right now that they could drill on right now. They could begin that process right now and start, contributing more. That's not true. From the time a land lease is acquired to the time permits and the first drill goes into the ground, it's typically 6 to 12 years. Because of the permits and all the requirements and restrictions that are imposed by the government. So they are literally lying to people every single day, and nobody, like, even with Fox News, like, if I worked at Fox News, I'd be doing a whole segment tonight, one on the border shit, and then the other one on the fact that Jen Psaki and this White House and these Democrats are deliberately misleading Americans. So you think that the oil companies are the ones price gouging, and it has nothing to do with Biden's incompetence at trying to go 100% clean emissions, blah, 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 whatever the hell he's doing. Talking about EV this and EV that, and it's not paying attention to the fact that it requires fossil fuels to get to that point anyway. But nobody pays attention to anything. Nobody pays attention. I guess I was talking too quick. Someone said Steve is stuck in fast forward. I tell you, it's crazy, man. We live in a crazy world. I sit here and sometimes I'm like, something's got to give. Something's got to make sense. And no, it's still not. It's still not making sense. None of this stuff does. Like yesterday's comments about they're literally arguing today. I already talked about this. I talked about it yesterday, but we do have a guest, BX Bullet. She's on Twitch. She's been on our show before to talk about, I think it was a Rittenhouse shooting, because she's also a firearms expert and all that stuff. But she's going to be on the show a little bit because she has personally gone after people that have this child pornography, weird shit going on social media. And it's very relevant to everything that's going on with this current administration and Democrats and stuff like that, and the fact that they're willing to oversee. So let me give a little bit of overlook. Let me give a little bit of background on what I'm talking about. Judge Ketanji Brown has 100% track record of going lenient on child sex, people that are caught with child pornography. 100%. They analyzed 14 cases, of which she sentenced 14 people caught with child pornography, sentence them under the sentencing guidelines, sentence them under what the state prosecution was asking for, all 14 times. Of all the cases she chaired over, in the year that she was a federal circuit court judge, of the 14 that she chaired over that had to do with child pornography, every single one of them, she went lenient on the people that were caught, because for her, someone that has a physical picture is a worse criminal than someone that has one physical picture is a much, 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 much worse criminal than someone that has 10,000 images that they downloaded. I know that argument doesn't make any damn sense to common sense, and that's why not a single Republican on the Senate Judiciary Committee voted for her nomination. Chuck Schumer decided that, well, it doesn't matter, and they're pushing forward with the votes. They've been going forth all day talking about this. Senator Cotton, who was one of the people that really brought this to light during the nomination hearings, submitted a bill yesterday, a law. He wanted to submit a law in where crimes against children, would have harsher penalties. Senator Durbin gets up there and refutes it and says, no, we're not going to pass that legislation. We're not going to even do that. It's curious timing. It's curious timing. And then he goes back to talk about how the Supreme Court, when the laws came out in 2003, internet wasn't super big. So the laws don't reflect how easy it is to go and get those images if you choose, as he said, which is disgusting. So you'll see a lot of people on social media now are making the valid argument saying, listen, are the Democrats and the left, the left-leaning politicians and everybody that is pushing this judge forward, are they soft on child pornography? And that you kind of have to say yes, because if you didn't, well, you wouldn't go against a bill that increases sentencing guidelines for people of that, crime. It's outrageous that they're pushing through this nomination when there's so many questions. Now, the Republicans, there isn't an easy solution to this issue. What the Republicans asked for was the probation, the probation department sentencing guidelines, which is what Ketanji Brown Jackson said during her nomination hearings is what she relied on for her decision. She didn't use the sentencing guidelines imposed by the legislature. No, because she didn't think those were fair. She didn't use the sentencing guidelines that were recommended by the state's attorney or the U.S. Attorney's Office. No, because, well, they are just trying to get the most time out of people. No, she went off a probationary report sentencing guidelines, of which none of those records are currently available. So the Republicans that were sitting in that committee meeting said, hey, we want to see those. We are literally researching all this together. This is a lifetime appointment. It's not like, oh, in a year, a contract, we can renegotiate the contract or look at performance. No, it's a lifetime appointment. It's not going to go anywhere. It's not. They said no. They said no. Chuck Schumer yesterday pulled it back and said, oh, no, we're pushing it through. And they did a vote, and three Republicans, Romney and two other boneheads, they all voted for this. They voted to push her through. I think it was a Republican senator from Maine and someone else from like Idaho or something like that. Two women and Romney. They all voted to pass this through along with 50 Democrats. Not one, and that surprised me a lot. Not a single Democrat showed any backbone and said, hey, listen, I want to find out a little bit more about what this is too. Not a single one has shown any backbone. A lot of Republicans did, but in all fairness, I don't really know what people, I think they're all nuts. That's the only thing I could say. Anyway, so we've talked about it with Congress. We've talked about it with Durbin. We talked about it in the Senate chambers. Now, what about social media? Because a lot of the comments and a lot of the stuff that has been going on with this child pornography bullshit, and trust me, I don't talk about this kind of stuff a lot, but I've started paying attention. Obviously, I follow BX Bullet, and I've been talking to her about some of she's like going full force at Twitch and at some of these other social media channels in an effort to take these weird people that are, I don't know, some of them are promoting it, some are apologizing for that kind of behavior, which doesn't make any sense. And I guess the easiest way to describe that would just be to have BX Bullet come on the show. So let me switch over to this one, and then there she is. How you doing?
Hey there, Steve. How's it going?
Good. How's your?
Real quick.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, I've got my kiddo here.
No worries.
Had to come home from school a little bit early, so.
No worries.
Yes. Okay, bye.
Live television.
I'll be done in a second. TV. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Live television. Yeah. So for everyone that doesn't know, you've been on a show. I think it was with the Rittenhouse trial, right? Is that what you came on for? I don't remember, but you were on at one point.
Yep. Yep, Rittenhouse was it.
going through, his shooting and talking about that from your perspective. But you're also a commentator, social media influencer on Twitch and now YouTube, I think.
Yes.
So what has been going on with you and Twitch? Because you've been going after him. So why don't you give a little bit of background and everything?
Yeah. So Twitch, so first of all, I guess it started with I've just been a streamer on Twitch for a while now, right? And I started out just gaming, talking about guns. We do some politics chat. I'm a firearms and self-defense instructor, so that's kind of the bulk of our content. Started to kind of delve into politics here and there, and that became something that I kind of started to do regularly. Well, I got involved with a specific person who I found out had been preying on members of the community. And I am also a licensed private investigator. And I've dealt with, I have training in like recognizing child grooming, recognizing exploitation online, and investigating that kind of thing. So I kind of went into this guy, started investigating him. Well, I went to the police, went to the FBI, threw all this information at them. Somehow he ended up finding out that I was the whistleblower. He claims the police told him, but I don't really know. I still don't know. Anyway, so this guy started stalking, harassing, threatening me, doxing me, hired hackers to try to, hack my accounts. He did all kinds of crazy stuff, including actually coming after my daughter. So it was really intense. And during this process, I reported him to Twitch many times. I had multiple people, hundreds of people reporting him to Twitch because I had this story go viral on Twitter. During this whole process, I kind of figured out how to get things to kind of go viral on Twitter. So I figured out kind of the formula for that. And, so all the stuff was going viral. I had big YouTubers making stories about it. Twitch never responded, never did anything. This has been going on for 2 years. The guy's still not been banned or had any action taken against him. Well, so I started digging in a little further and saying, what is going on here? Because if you know anything about Twitch, you understand that, Twitch can actually ban people for just the most ridiculous, absurd things.
Right.
And they'll get banned for saying cracker now. You can't say cracker anymore. It's, an offensive term. So you ban for that. Right. But then you're not going to ban a child predator. So then I started prodding a little more, started getting a little more traction on social media, and I started to find people who knew things as well. So I started to kind of piece together information from other parties. I ended up connecting with a guy who's been investigating a actual pedophile ring on Twitch. So I'm talking about organized groups of people in servers. They'll assign 2 or more people to go look for kids who are because Twitch is a 13 and up platform. In my opinion, that should be raised to 18.
Right.
But some of these kids look like my child's age. They look like 6, 7, so they'll find those kids and they'll start, to prod them. Hey, can I get your Snapchat? Can you spin around for me and bend over? Stuff like that. He's got all the screenshots. He's got all the stuff. He's got all the information. And even if we pitch that to Twitch, they just ignore us. So I just started calling them out. Really publicly and going pretty hard at them, I think.
I've seen it. I've been following, and I always expect, someone to comment back. We stream to Twitch, but it's not a platform that we just have people that watch every day there. I don't really interact too much on that platform.
Right.
And not because of censorship, not because of it's just there's too many other platforms that we have our own platform. But have you ever, with all the complaints and the social media, constant tweeting at them? And I remember one day, I think I counted it, you had 36 tweets towards Twitch or something like that, where you were just you guys have to answer. You have to answer this.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear back about any of the complaints that you raised?
It was kind of funny because at some point, Keemstar and those big YouTube commentary people started to get involved. Even Keemstar was retweeting my stuff. At one point, I kind of pulled a move that went a little viral. I posted, at Twitch, this is still happening. This guy's still not banned. What's going on? And then at a subtweet, below it, I tweeted, at Twitch support, I'm having trouble purchasing bits, which is the in-app currency.
I saw
and
that
like
tweet.
a day later, we get like a reply that's like, "Hey there," or it's like, "Hey yo, I hear you're having problem purchasing bits. Here's some information and resources," which is like, okay, I get that it's a bot response, but at the same time, it just goes to show you that Twitch has a much more robust process in place for helping people who are having problem making the platform money than they do for preventing child exploitation. And so that the Keemstar retweeted that, and everybody thought it was really funny. And then, yes, I had been tweeting at them quite a bit whenever this goes viral. It's like a strike when the iron's hot kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
When you see something picking up traction, you need to keep going at it, right? And then things will die down for a while, and I'll see another opportunity to kind of just like put it out there. You can't just keep getting, people will get tired. People get burned out after a while, you know? You kind of going to space it out.
So has there been any consequences for any of these dirtbags that are doing this kind of stuff, you know, either from you or from, you know, the other person that's been outing them? Has there been any repercussions for any of these scumbags?
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. So after my stuff blew up the second time, which was earlier this year, the one where Keemstar was tweeting it, we did get a response from Twitch because they have this like user voice forum where you could pitch ideas, and a lot of them are very woke ideas like diversity. And me, I posted an idea that was like, "Hey, Twitch, you got predators on your platform. This, really well thought out. You need to be transparent. You need to have resources. You need to reply to people. You need to prioritize sex predators over everything else that you ban or investigate." And then I got that, you know, I pitched on my stream, go vote, because it's like a Reddit thing where like the highest voted one. Yes. Where the highest voted one will kind of get propelled up, you know, to the highest level.
Yeah.
And we got a response. They deleted it. They posted a comment. They sent an email to everybody who voted for it and said, "This has been removed. And the reason is that we don't feel like this is, you know, we feel like you're calling out a specific person. That's not what we want to do here." And then they said, "Every report is investigated by a human specialist," which a friend of mine was joking, maybe they meant a bot that's a specialist in humans, because there's no possible way that Twitch can have, they don't have that the resources to do that. Or, you know, somebody did look at that and decided not to ban him, which is even weirder, right? So after that, we started noticing that Twitch was taking action on certain things. Like, for example, there was a guy, you probably heard about him, it was Mr. Girl. And this guy has frequently, I mean, so if you know about the map, what the map agenda is, right?
Yeah.
It's really easy. Hey, kitty. It's really easy to spot, right? So this guy has a history of admitting that he's a pedophile, that he's attracted to kids and all of this. Then at one point, I think he realized that he had gone too hard, and he started to scale back and started being more like, "Well, I'm not, but like people who are, we need to really help them get therapy." And he got really popular. I mean, really, like he's on YouTube now.
I remember
really
you
popular.
tweeting something out where he was doing like a Q&A for people that had that as like an interest or something. And you tweeted out and you're like, "How are you allowing this on your platforms?" And here's something that's crazy is Twitch feels that they don't have any accountability when it comes to this. But we watched congressional hearings last year where Facebook, Google, Instagram CEOs and you know, safety people were all called before Congress to testify in what they were doing in terms of, you know, instituting these protections for children. And it seems that Twitch has kind of flown under the radar. Amazon, which owns Twitch didn't, you know, they weren't part of these hearings. And I don't know. I think we may look into it more here, because when I think about it more, it seems that they're, you know, what is that? There's a saying that has to do with silence, like you're complicit. You know, if you're silent about something, you're complicit. And the fact is that, you know, I've watched it for a while because I follow you on Twitter. So I've watched you consistently go after and consistently bring it up. And I've seen other people do it too. And it doesn't seem that there is a response. But if you do something that has to do with money, like I can't figure out how to pay you, then you get a response, whether it's a bot or not. It doesn't matter.
That's what's been happening on Twitch. I think that my opinion is that so Mr. Girl did get banned from Twitch and I got blamed for it. People were like, she's pro cancel culture. I'm like, listen, dude, this guy is sitting here advocating for, the age of consent is blurry. Consent is kind of weird. I mean, like it's not a fine line. It's not just yes or no. Sometimes he says no, it means yes. And then, it makes a song about like raping babies where he says, I'm a pedophile. I'm a literal. I said go out. You're not supposed to be in here. Yes. I don't even want her to like hear that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
I have the door closed that she can't hear me. But he has like these songs and they were just like very vulgar, right? Very vulgar. And
so at least he's been banned from Twitch.
So he got banned, but I think, and they blame me, but I had nothing to do with it. I can tell you, I didn't report him. We know Twitch doesn't check Twitter, right? They don't base anything off that. So the reason I think that he got banned is because he's not advertiser friendly. It's the same thing with YouTube when they get demonetized. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. She had to come home from school early. I had surgery, so my parents have been like taking her or dropping her off and stuff. They had somewhere to go this evening.
How is your arm? Because you had surgery on your arm, you had some nerve damage or something, right?
It's all fucked up. It's all fucked up. Yeah, it's all messed up.
Yeah, it looks messed up.
But yeah, so I don't remember what I was saying about, the advertiser stuff is there is a way, right, to affect their bottom line. One is when they realize advertisers don't want to be a part of that discussion. So like, I can almost guarantee you this live stream will be limited on monetization because YouTube like has an algorithm that detects talk about this kind of thing and limits it for ads.
Yeah, and all my videos are limited and then I fight them all. And I always get them. So
really?
On the appeal, but they do it after. So like when I have a video, my videos will go and I'll get another 1,000 views by tomorrow morning or another 2,000 views by tomorrow morning. But they turn on monetization after that. Yeah. So it's like 12 hours, 15 hours after is where it turns back on.
Out. Yeah, I just got monetized on YouTube and they've been limiting my stuff too.
I appeal every single one. So and if you're uploading a video, don't publish it until you appeal it. Because most likely they're going to do it. It's just their algorithms sense cursing and stuff like that, and that'll get you. So
that'll get you, yeah.
That'll get you.
So, one more thing, like real quick, but before, like, so I wanted to mention, like you said, how do we get these platforms? Well, like, and I know that this is a tough subject because the Section 230 reform is like a double-edged sword, right? You know that because if you give if you put too much restrictions on these companies, it's going to make them increase their moderation activities, which is going to end up just censoring more people. But at the same time, Trump passed the law FOSTA SESTA, if you're familiar with those. So that's the one exemption to Section 230, and it allows people to hold social media accountable if they've been proven negligent in child trafficking, child sex trafficking, or child pornography. So back pages, that's how they got taken down.
Right.
Because you have to prove that they were negligent, meaning they could have done something. So many people reported and they didn't do anything. They didn't respond. Right. So eventually, I do think that Twitch is going to wake up and say, we're going to get in trouble if this kind of stuff keeps going on because we're going to get sued by like the federal government or by, injured kids and stuff like that. So,
yeah, I mean, that's something to look in. April's watching this. She's like my all-star writer. So I think we'll probably work on an article for this and try to reach out to Twitch's PR and get a comment from them. So because it's something, especially with everything that ties into, public, that's why I called you, because we've been going back and forth about talking and bringing you on, and then you had your surgery and all that. So I was trying to figure out the best one. And that's why last night I messaged you after listening to Boneheads, whoever it was. I forgot which senator, but I said, you need to go watch his stupid comments because it just doesn't make any sense. But hey, thank you so much for joining, and make sure you ice your arm a lot and get some rest. Don't overdo it.
I've got a machine here. It's got a hose connected to an ice chest, and it
Oh,
goes on
really?
my arm, and then I just put ice in it, and it's like an ice pack I'm supposed to keep on 12 hours a day.
Oh, you must have put it on.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, and let us know if there's anything else we could do here for you.
Yeah, let me know if I could do anything for you guys. BX Bullet TV on YouTube and Twitch and Twitter, BX Bullet TV everywhere. Go follow me. Help me get my message out there. Help me boost the algorithm in my favor. We all know how difficult that can be for us.
Certainly is. But,
yeah.
All right. Thanks. We'll see ya. All right. So I wanted to have her on because she's good, and she's been fighting this for a long time, like a long time, and it's crazy. Miss Liberty on YouTube said you all should be treating her as if she's Steve's sister. Incredibly disrespectful. Yeah, that's why I don't pay attention to the chat. But yeah, you guys can go follow her on Twitter. And she's, I can honestly say that I'm the reason she's on YouTube, because I was like, you got to get off Twitch when I first met her and said, you got to go on YouTube. And she did. But, yeah, man. So it's been an interesting one today, just in a whole, and I'm not going to do it. I have a picture on my phone that would emotionally and mentally scar every single one of you. We have 700 plus people watching right now on social media. It would emotionally scar you, I think, for life. We've been fighting with our dogs to get their stomachs, to get to some sort of stomach equilibrium with our dogs since we moved. All right. So many of you guys may remember we moved up to Virginia from Florida last year. And then we immediately went on vacation. We had our dogs, we had them at a sitter's house. When they came back, they got super sick, right? We took them to the vet. The vet said it's just anxiety, blah, blah, blah. Sorry, you got to deal with it. And you know what I mean when I say sick, right? Like, sick, like gas and all that stuff, right? Bad, horrible, all over the house. Yeah. Well, guess what they also started doing once we got to our new house? So we've been keeping them locked in the kitchen, and I've been driving back, even though it's 20 miles. I've been going back and forth from the office to the house like 4 times over the course of the day. I should just literally stay there, but I had all the contractors and everybody working in the front every day. So today, I had to go back to the old house. We had some issues with some of the stuff that was there. So I had to go back to the old house and pick up some shit. I drove back to my house, let him out. Drove back to do something, went back to the house again, let him out. And then I moved the trailer. Like I figured out that we were opening the fence wrong. So I put the trailer in the back of the yard because our backyard's all flooded, blah, blah, blah. Big disaster. I left. I let him out. That was 11:30. My wife called me when she got home while I was driving with the boys home, and she said, we have to move. This house is beyond repair. And I'm like, what? Calm down. I know the backyard's a little flooded because we live on a hill, right? So all the rain washes down through every single yard and sits right in our backyard. It drains pretty good. We have a little creek and all that in our backyard, but when it rains, like as it has for the past 3 days, it gets a little moist. So I was thinking that's what it was. I was wrong. She wants to move from our house. No joke. She's adamant about it because the dogs, it looks like they may have got, how dogs, when they get in like a fight while they're doing a chew toy and they spin each other around. It looks like that's what happened today in our kitchen. Wow. One of them was pooping. Yeah. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. And of course, because I'm Mr. Weak Stomach and I do my show at 5 o'clock now. See, now you may be curious why. I had to go home, take a shower from the gym, and then bounce out real quick. So I just went like that through the house, and I left her to deal with it. So our house is really, it's a disaster because we've been locking them in the kitchen because they've been, having some messy stuff going on in the hallway, which is still carpeted. So they've been doing that there. So we've been locking them in the kitchen, which is a big room, but this is not natural. This is not like I can't. Like, you want to talk about getting censored by social media? Like, imagine blood spatter. Like, have you seen like a video where there's blood spatter? Like someone gets shot and the blood splatters up the wall. Yeah, that's what our kitchen was today. Except it wasn't splatter. It was dog diarrhea. all over everything, on the door, on the window, on the curtains. It's so bad. So right now, my wife had cleaned most of it up. She's like, we got to replace the baseboards. I'm like, we're going to rip out the floor anyway, so that's fine. But she's taken the dogs to the vets because we've been there for 2 weeks, and this has been an ongoing problem for 2 weeks. Like, the gas is horrible. Like, you can't. I can't even be in the house. I'll be completely honest. I can't be there. We can't eat there. It's disgusting because these damn dogs, and so they're both because we don't know what dog it is. That's the problem. Like, one dog was doing it, but then it was fine, and now the other dog was acting all weird, and so we're like, we don't know what dog it is. So both are at the vets right now, and they're trying to figure it out. I know last time the way they fixed it is we didn't feed them for, I think, a day or two, and to like reset it, and they got a lot of antibiotics or something like that, and that's how they were able to fix whatever digestive issues. But I tell you what, we've had a lot of pets in my wife and I's, 17 years or whatever it's been together. We've had a lot of dogs and, well, not really. We've had 2 other dogs. We've never spent so much on vet bills as we do with these 2 dogs, ever. But she feed them ground beef and rice, or plain chicken and rice, or pumpkin. Yeah. Ask my wife about that. That's what she gave him last night. That's what she cleaned up this afternoon. So no, and I know I shouldn't be laughing about it. If she watches this, she's gonna be so mad at me. But it's I can't deal with that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Blood, like a limb that's chopped off, no problem. Feces and puke, nah. I remember once when I was an EMT, we walked into this nursing home, right, to do an intra-facility transfer. And I walk into the room, and my partner was getting ready to like have them sign the patient over to us. And I walk in the room, and I knew this dude shit himself. And I walked out, and I slapped that paper right out of the nurse's hand. And I said, he just shit himself, and you have to fix it. Like, there's no way in hell. Like, no way in hell. Like, if a guy was like, oh, I'm going to throw up, we went priority to the hospital. So we didn't have to deal with that. It's just that kind of stuff I can't do. Blood, open chest, compressions, feeling ribs break under it, nothing. Doesn't affect me at all. But piss and puke, nah. Like, no. Like, even the smell of it. I punched a hole through the wall because my kid had the worst smelling shit I've ever smelled in my life. Granted, I was taking Chantix at that time to try to quit smoking, but I don't know. We switched dog food. We're on some like expensive ass, dog food, and they're 2 pit bulls. They go through dog food like crazy. So whatever, we're gonna figure it out. But I figured you should know, and it's switching to this 5 o'clock hour actually worked pretty well for me because it keeps me out of that. And there's this crazy part in time where my kids get home and my wife gets home and everybody yells at each other for like an hour. And guess what time that takes place? Between 4:30 and 5:30. So I have to leave my house by 4:30 to make sure I'm ready to do all this stuff, or not. Actually, I got to leave by 4 in order to make sure I'm here and set up ready to do a show at 5. So I actually miss all that. It's great. And now I switched on Santilli after the show, and then I just relax and I get to hang out. Like last night, we all watched, goofy videos or something like that, and it was fun. I actually get to be a dad and be a husband. So I will be keeping this 5 o'clock slot. And a lot of people have been watching and all that. So that's good. A retired nurse said, I can clean poop with one hand and eat with the other. That is the nastiest thing I've ever heard, Barb. The nastiest thing I've ever heard. You should be ashamed for putting that in my chat. But no, seriously, I appreciate all you guys for being here. There's a lot of coffee orders that haven't gone out yet. I've been working on the front and all that stuff. I had to spackle and putty all that stuff myself. Tomorrow, I have to get all these cups ready for the Shelby or Selma, North Carolina. I may not be able to take the trailer that I wanted to, the concession trailer, because the running lights seemingly broke again on this piece of shit. Even though it was a brand new trailer, it's still under warranty, but that means I have to bring it all the way back down to Richmond to have them try to fix it again. But so I may just be taking the RV and set up a tent to give away the free coffee. Not sure if I'm going to live stream anything down there. I will be making some videos, but I may just record it instead of using the big backpack, because we think we're going to return that anyway. Using it once a month and paying $4,000 for it every month is not worth it for us. So we're gonna figure that out. But I'm going to work on some of those coffee orders tomorrow. The rest will be when I return. But I will likely try to get them all out tomorrow just so they're done. And then, I'll probably live stream on the way down to North Carolina, maybe. And I'll probably live stream on the way up too. It's not that far. It's only 4.5 hours from me now. So it's not too crazy. But everyone that's watching on Citizen Stringer, Pizza and Tilly's show is going to start in approximately, 4 minutes, 3 minutes. I got to reset his feed. For some reason, I have to do it with his feed all the time. I got to reset it. But so for everyone that's watching on Citizen Stringer, his feed will start in approximately 3 minutes and 24 seconds. He's got a countdown. Everyone that's watching on social media, please share this video, okay? Like share out, the first part. I'm going to try to make a segment, so I'll put it out tomorrow on just the first part and then the interview with BX Bullet. And of course, this is a podcast. Go to your favorite podcast player of choice. Look up Wake Up America podcast. This show will be available within a matter of hours on your podcast player of choice. Leave a review. Go to Google Podcasts. Leave a review. Go to Apple iTunes podcast, whatever. Leave a review. That helps us get on the charts. Also, if you have the Citizen Stringer TV app on your phone, even if you don't have a membership, you can download it and watch free content. We've upgraded our push notification system on the phone. So if you never want to miss another episode, either download it and you'll have the updated one, or go to the Play Store, look up the app, and you will see there's an update available. Now that update is for it's for Android and Apple. And iPad and all that stuff. And I think the Amazon Fire has been redone. Roku's been redone. They're adding all sorts of stuff. So, but then you get push notifications because I try to send them out every single time I go live. Sometimes it's a few minutes after, but whatever. All right. Thank you for watching. We'll see you mañana. That means tomorrow.